there's two words that jump out at me, and it's well ordered, well ordered, well ordered. You can tell that's what he's all about, okay? Which is, by the way, a very Catholic term, because that's exactly what God wants us to have, well-ordered lives. So this book, Connor, can you hold it up? Raising Blue-Collar Kids in a White-Collar World. You can pick it up by going to vmpr.org, vmpr.org, or you can go to tanbooks.com. This book will help you live a well-ordered family life. Connor, let me ask you a question. How do you and your wife, Ashley, foster blue-collar traits and values in your own home? Give us some of your secrets.
Yeah, so it starts, you see, everything's theological in a way, right? Everything in life is theological.
Well, that's why St. Thomas says it's the queen of the sciences.
There you go, right. And Aquinas also said grace builds upon nature, right? So I don't feel I appreciate the compliment about being well, I feel like I'm a walking train wreck half the day, you know, but it's because of that I've studied well-orderedness, whether it's in business or fitness or at home or whatever, trying to bring structure to the internal chaos that I am, right? Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. What do Ashley and I do? First of all, she's the secret weapon. I'm just like the talking head. She's the real deal, right? So she gets 99.9% of the credit. But in terms of how we run our household to make tough kids, you have to start with the natural order before grace can flow more fluidly, right? So the natural order consists of when they're really little, you have to start making, so your listeners out there that got 1-year-olds and 2-year-olds, okay? You might think, well, they can't have chores, but they can start being self-reliant. Like they want a yogurt cup out of the refrigerator, make them get it. You know, after they have a yogurt cup, make them throw it away. Now, a funny story, we had some friends over at our house one time, and my 2-year-old or whoever it was came up and asked for a yogurt cup, which is where I get that example. And we said, sure. And the kid dragged a chair over to the refrigerator, climbed up on it, opened the refrigerator, got the yogurt cup, drug the chair over to the drawer with the spoon, got the spoon, you know, and did all this stuff. And my friends are like, your kid's a genius. And I'm like, no, your kid's just spoiled. That's the difference. So it starts real young. When they're 2 or 3, what chore could they do? Can they turn the lights off before you get in the car and leave? I mean, it's just a little thing. But as they grow, they have to do dishes. They have to do their own laundry. Mom and dad, don't do their laundry. Don't do their laundry. Make your kids do their own darn laundry. What? I don't care if you make $1 million a year. If you have a teenager, why do you have a lawn service? Get your kid to do it. Okay. Now you might have to learn and you might have to teach them, but you know, there's things like that. When you want to kind of, if you're working in your garden, you know, make the kids pull the weeds. You know, 4-year-olds can pull weeds. 5-year-olds can pull weeds. Make them do things. And so can you hire out the help of a handyman to like replace the faucet on the sink? You know, we all know how to look up something on, you know, Craigslist or whatever to find a handyman, or whatever you do to find your handyman. Or you can get with your teenager and say, I really suck at this stuff, but let's get on YouTube and figure out how to do it and spend the Saturday doing it. It's not about getting the water. It's about getting a virtue of grit and perseverance and self-education. And if you go through that with your kid, it works. The technology is a major, major factor here, because you make gritty kids by them getting used to being told no. There is no privacy in your house with technology. Like, your kids have no right to privacy when it comes to technology, period. Okay. So if you're 17-year-olds in your house, you need to have developed the systems and the relationship to where you can go take their phone and flip through it, and it's not some highly offensive thing. If you start them young and do regular, what I call IT audits, okay, where I'm just going to digital audits. I'm just going to audit your phone. I'm going to look at your laptop. I'm going to look through your history. I'm going to look through your streaming history, all that kind of stuff. You do this regularly to desensitize it so they don't have some crazy sense of entitlement, which is following them into their adulthood. And it's crazy. And by the way, you're helping your kids stay pure that way. So It's all of these things. They have to have steady chores. You have to tell them no. And you have to kind of what a lot of the world would consider like invading their privacy. You got to do it to keep them safe. So I think all of those are little examples, Jesse, of how our kids kind of have become tough.
You know, Connor, it's I hear you saying the exact opposite. A lot of parents that have more of the woke mindset, they'll say, oh, no, I can't do that because I want to be my kid's friend. Mm-hmm. I think you're saying quite the opposite. We don't have to be friends. We have to be their parents.
Yeah. And what I found is very strange because I was their parent. You know, I'm like, I mean, again, friends is an insufficient word. In the Aristotelian sense, friendship's beautiful because we're now two adults helping each other become virtuous. I mean, that's friendship in the truest sense of the word. But, you know, I'm becoming friends with my adult children because I wasn't just their buddy. I was the authoritarian in the house. I was their leader. I was their, you know, mentor. I was these things. And so they feel comfortable and safe with me. And now when they're becoming adults, they leave the house, but they call me every day. And so I'm developing this. I mean, by the way, I've taken up cigar smoking like more and more the older my sons get, you know, because we sit around and smoke cigars at night. I mean, but they come home. I'm closer to my older sons now than ever before, because we held the line on certain things when they were younger, and they respect. I always say respect and affection. Respect and affection. And you can do both at the same time. It's not like I demand respect on Mondays and I give you affection on Tuesday. No, it's in the exact same millisecond. You can do both. And if you're creative enough to do that, then your kids are going to love you when they get older. And that's the greatest reward you can get.
Connor, how can we recognize these traits or these values in our children? You know, they're all, our children are like fingers. Every single finger has its own distinct fingerprints, right?
Yeah. What I've seen is, again, I sometimes like you don't even see it yourself as a dad because like you're blinded by your own kids' weaknesses. But again, my kids have worked at the bagel shop, at Chick-fil-A, a place called the White Water Center, which is this huge outdoor rafting place, a sales job, the grocery store, Harris Teeter, my kid. So we've had all these jobs. And when we get it is like, we see their boss and we're like, hey, yeah, our kid, you know, my kid, Peter, he works here. Hey, Jude works here. Paul works there. And they say, your kids are amazing. And all they mean is that they like do what they're supposed to do. Is they're elite because they're just normal, you know, because normal is no longer the case. So I see those things, but I am seeing it as they get married and they persevere through their own problems. Or like you have kids that go to high school or college, you know, we homeschool, but then they go to college, dual enrollment, whatever it is. And they're doing things like registering for classes, or they're dealing with things and they're trying to figure it out themselves. Funny story, Jesse. Here's an example. This is like where no good deed goes unpunished. So my kid, my 17-year-old gets, he's had his job, works at the bagel shop. And what does he do? He files his own taxes thinking he's being responsible, which you think is great. But I claimed him as a dependent on mine. So now I'm like, the IRS is like, you can't claim him because of this or that. I'm like, dang it, son, you made like $13,000 a year. And so you didn't even have to file taxes. And I lost a $2,000 tax deduction because you filed your dang taxes. Why didn't you talk to me about it? But again, I mean, you love the kid because he was acting like an adult, even though it cost me $2,000.
That's right. You gotta respect that.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, so those are examples,
So, Connor, let me ask you, can you give me one or two examples of what works to raise tough, resilient kids?
Okay, I'll give you an example. So we had a lot of conflict because I've been like praising my kids. So I kind of want to give you like a reality check that my kids are not perfect. One kid who will rename nameless, he was really pissing us off about the technology. And, he continually, we thought that he wasn't doing anything wrong or bad on his phone. We didn't think so, but there was dishonesty slipping into the relationship. That really put me over the edge because I'm like, dude, I can't work with dishonesty, So after we dealt with that for a while, I finally said, that's it. And I took him out to the barn. with his iPhone, and I told him to put his phone on the ground, and I handed him the axe. And I said, if your eye causes you to sin, pluck it out. If your hand causes you to sin, cut it off. Well, this damn phone is causing you to lie to your father. I want you to smash it. And if you don't smash it, I'll smash it. And so he smashed it. Okay. And that was, so he went a month or something before I was like, okay, I'll get you a new phone. But it was the symbol. It was symbolic. Now it was an expensive symbol, but that device was causing my relationship with him to deteriorate. And he had to learn a hard way that I was not going to let this get in the way of our relationship. And if this was causing him to sin, he had to destroy it. He had to destroy it. And the reason I say that, Jesse, that's not like doing shorts. It's just, it took a strong effort. Now, the kid had to also respect and love me for me to pull that off the right way.
Right. Oh, yeah.
But that was years ago, and he'll tell you today that was a major turning point. That was a major turning point in his life, and he'll be 90 telling his great grandkids or something about that. You know what I mean? And it made him a little bit more tough in that moment, because he saw I was being tough and I was going to hold the line, and I was not going to let the devil or vice or the world break into this family.